I've got a delicious buckwheat, cherry and herby bowl here for you. Bit of a salad recipe. You can take it to lunch. It's a nice variation on what you may be seeing as a grain bowl or a grain salad. So we've cooked the quinoa and the buckwheat together just as a point of difference. So you can see that the beautiful buckwheat plumps and swells, similar texture to sort of Israeli or pearl couscous. So it plumps up, so it gives you just something else to have a bit of a play with. It's a pseudo grain, it's protein rich. So to liven this beautiful buckwheat and quinoa up, we've got some delicious ingredients. So we've got our cooked and drained quinoa and buckwheat. I'm gonna make the dressing next. So we've got some gorgeous lemons. I want to juice and zest them. May as well get maximum bang for our buck when we're using an ingredient. If you can't use your zest in a particular recipe, if you just need juice, freeze it and put it into something else later, or dehydrate it, use it as a drink garnish. Sort of don't go too deep. We don't want to get into that bitter pith. The lemon juice really balances out the herbs and it sort of makes them sing. They have this beautiful relationship between the two, especially with the basil and the mint. It's just a magical combination. So we're using quite a lot of herbs in this salad. Rather than using lettuce or other greens, they're going to become the green of this salad. So you can go quite heavy on the herbs. All of our zest into our bowl. It's just sunshine right there. It's just beautiful. Put that in there. Just grab myself a little strainer. Save ourselves a very cute little strainer indeed. Save ourselves having to try and catch the pips. Oh, it's a hard lemon. You can sort of roll them out, massage them a little bit, soften up all of those little juice cells on the inside for ease of juicing, which I should have done before this. Yum, yum, yum. So we've got 1 clove of garlic and I'm going to dice and then crush that. Slices first. Take your time and care if you're sort of a little less confident with your knife skills. Change the direction, push it all in again, chop it the other way, do that 3 or 4 times. I don't mind that there's lemon zest on the board because it's all going into the same bowl in this instance. Right there, it is too hot and too raw and too chunky for this salad. We really want it to be almost a paste. So what I'm going to do is show you a quick way to use salt as an abrasive. So we're gonna add salt, which is gonna act as our seasoning. And we're going to crush our garlic with our knife. Scoop it all back in again. Crush it. So this is creating a little garlic paste to go into our dressing, acting as our seasoning. So that's quite well pulverized. And we don't need to pull apart and clean those garlic crushes, which for 1 clove, that's a little bit more effort than it's worth. So all of that garlic into our dressing. It's all over me. Gonna have to have a really good shower after this. Gonna add a little bit of sweetness with our stevia or monk fruit. You don't have to use sweetener at all. If you don't need it, don't add it, but I quite like a little bit of sweetness there. We've got some extra virgin olive oil and a little bit of white pepper. Give that a little bit of a whisk. And by the time the rest of our salad is ready, all of those flavors will have had even more time to infuse and flavor that all together. Now it's quite a lot of dressing, but we do have quite a lot of pseudo grains in here. So it will accept all of that. It'll absorb some, but there'll be very little left to spare. So just because this is cherries in this salad doesn't mean that you have to miss out the rest of the year when they're not in season. You can use frozen cherries for this, but as our frozen cherries have defrosted, we've got some beautiful leftover cherry juice. So I'm actually going to add that to our dressing because why waste flavor? Okay, so I'll give that another bit of a mix around and our gorgeous sunshine yellow has turned into a beautiful burgundy, which we can totally work with. Okay, so I'm gonna chop up our cherries, not into a fine dice necessarily, but we do want to be able to spread throughout our salad here. So a bit of a rough dice. If you're using fresh cherries, please pit them. Now we can start to add in our other salad ingredients. We've got our spinach. It's got quite a large leaf on there. It's going to be quite hard to get it into your mouth all in 1 fork. So just gonna tear that up a little bit. Don't mind using a knife and fork, but you don't always have to. So this makes a good work lunch or a good barbecue lunch. So just giving that a rough tear. And we're gonna do the same with all of our herbs. So we've got some basil, some tarragon, some mint, and some parsley. As I said, they're sort of the main body of our greens in this salad. So we'll just tear all of those up too. Oh, how good is the smell of basil? It's a lot of my favorite things in here. So these basil leaves are so small that I'm quite happy for them to go in whole. If you had more mature basil and you had bigger leaves, by all means, tear them up if you need to. There we can just strip our tarragon leaves. Oh, I just love the aromas that come as soon as you touch or put any pressure and release some of the beautiful herbs. So that's our tarragon and basil done. Now we've got our mint and our parsley. Our mint leaves are a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna tear them up. And our parsley leaves are just the right size, so don't really need to tear those. So a little bit more herby action, and then we can get this ready to plate up. So we've got all of our herbs in there. I'm going to put in most of our Spanish or red onion. I'm gonna save a little bit for garnish at the top, just so that we've got a hint of that color. We've got some beautiful toasted hazelnuts here, just roughly chopped. Again, I'm gonna save a little bit of texture for the top. Just give that another little whisk, make sure it's well combined after it's been sitting there. Again, I'm gonna put most of that in, allow us to dress it easily, and just to gloss it up on top at the end. So very carefully we're going to mix all of this through. You can smell the lemon juice, hit the herbs. This is a gorgeous lunch or a side salad if you need it to be so. You can have it in summer with fresh cherries or the rest of the year round with frozen cherries. If you're not a cherry fan, you could use blackberries or raspberries or something like that. You could even use plums if you wanted to. Cut them up, and just those little hints of burgundy and pink against the green. So we'll make sure we've got a little bit of everything. Make sure that we can see a little bit of everything so that our diner knows exactly what they're in for. I'm just gonna put a little dollop of Greek yogurt on top there. Quite happy to have a nice creaminess on top. So you can mix that through, but the contrast in color and texture is a nice sort of tasty and nourishing addition. Now we've got the rest of our onion and our hazelnuts, and then a little bit more of our dressing. I am really happy with that and very excited to eat it. There is my buckwheat, cherry, and herb bowl